Hi. I want to thank you all for taking the time to come out today. It's nice to see some new faces. It's nice to see some old faces that I've known for a long time and reconnect. I also want to thank all the vendors who have gone before. Some really interesting and innovative new ideas have been presented on this stage. And if you've been paying close attention, you're seeing an industry that is evolving into the technology that is really emerging in the marketplace. So let me give you a little bit of background on who I am. My name is Scott Diehl. I'm the Vice President of Product Management for the Word & Brown General Agency. But that's not where I started. I actually started back in 1998, where I was licensed for an independent agent up in Santa Barbara. Back then, things were simpler. I sold dual choice HMO and PPO. Anthem had a $10 copay PPO, a $20 copay PPO, a $30, and a $40. My life was easy. And Alan, thank you for making my life easy back then. Please go back to Anthem.
No kidding.
They miss you, and so do I. And things have only grown more complex since then, and so you see the emergence of technology as a means of combating that complexity, although, it doesn't always serve that function very well, especially as it is growing. So, case in point, I'm a tech head, which is why if you saw the advertisement that used my image, our marketing team called me the tech guy. I have every gadget known to man. I was one of the people who camped outside of an Apple store in 2007 and got the very first iPhone, and it didn't work. And I've had every first iPhone ever since. So I will be getting the 7, although I'm not super impressed with what I saw. I've learned some things along the way as I've aged and matured, and we'll just call it that, now that I've aged myself with my sales history. And one of the things that I've learned is that, being a first adopter to any kind of technology, you're going to run into bumps. And, we've seen some really interesting and innovative platforms today, but the question remains, do you want to take the bumps? Some of you do, and some of you will be benefited from that because some of these technologies that are emerging are going to be very fantastic and very useful to you. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a point of distinction between what a GA does and what a technology company does. And it's going to be pretty subtle, but I'm going to kind of highlight it throughout my presentation today. So first and foremost, for those of you who are unaware, which I'm sure is almost nobody in this room, Word & Brown has been in this business since 1985 when our founders joined forces, 2 independent agents came together, and they developed technology that has run our company and has innovated into this new era that we're in for 31 years. We started as the very first quote engine in the state of California. We aggregated the 30 carriers in the state onto a single presentation output, and we grew and became very popular. And of course, we've branched out since then. But one thing I want to focus on very quickly on this slide before I leave it is if you look at the dark blue box, you'll see that I have 250 people in my IT department alone. And that dwarfs several of my other GA competitors combined. Sorry. No love lost, by the way. No love lost. So, I just want to make sure that you are all aware that we are driven by a passion, and we're passionate for 2 things. We want to make sure that every individual in the state of California has access to high-quality care. And we do that by providing a high level of customer service. So service of unequaled excellence, that's our motto. It's what we live, it's what we breathe. It's even written on our walls. And it starts with my plan maintenance team, my heroes, to be quite frank. I came down to manage our product management department in about 2008, and I met our carrier plan maintenance department. They are 5 ladies, a collective 115 years of experience in plan maintenance. That means these ladies look at data day in and day out. They aggregate what the carriers send us, and they put it into our quote engine for your benefit. These ladies are so attuned to the nuance in plans and benefits and rates and details and zip tables and all kinds of great things that go into this that they can spot an error a mile away. And often, they are the point at which carriers receive notice that they have an error in their data. Case in point, December of last year. You probably all remember some of the turmoil from Q4. It's been mentioned a few times today. We were actually a week late getting quoting out into 12/1 effective. But there was a good reason. We had a carrier come to us and give us a bunch of data, and on page 7 it said, oh, blah, 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 this plan is this way. And on page 36 it said something completely contradictory. No shock there, right? So we went back to the carrier and told them, hey, look, we can't turn on your quote until you actually dispel this issue for us and give us the right data. Well, it took them about a week, and they came back with something completely different than what was presented in either page of their documentation. And we turned on quoting. In the meantime, a number of you may have, and a number of our brokers we heard from later, said that other quote engines, who all shall remain nameless unless you want to come by my booth later, all turned on their quoting, and you generated quotes. And I know, hold back, I'm holding back. All of them turned on their quoting engines, and you all generated quotes. Well, with that invalid data, you went out and presented presentations to your customers and sold policies and plans with information that was invalid. And what happened was a number of brokers came to us afterwards and told us, hey, look, I approached my quote engine, and they said, hey, the carrier gave us that data that way, mea culpa, thank you for using our service. I want you to know that that's not the way Word & Brown operates, and we never will. That's why we are the only place where you can get a guarantee of accuracy on our quote, which should be very deeply meaningful to all of you, because it is your name on the piece of paper that you're presenting to your client. So if it's not guaranteed, then you are going to be liable for any kind of issue that results. And I hear about them all day long. So even if you're quoting somewhere else, it behooves you to come to us and quote with us as well. There's a huge advantage to being Word & Brown. We have a lot of resources and a lot of facilities to support those resources, which means we can push all kinds of tools and whatnot out into the marketplace. Great technology. We have a forms library that rivals anything I've seen anywhere. It has its 10,000 forms, and quite frankly, now that I have website tracking, I see who comes and uses it. Carrier reps, other GAs, I know who you are. Our health plan reference guide is bar none one of the best vehicles for finding any kind of underwriting guide, but it's more than that. So when I actually first came to Word & Brown and I was in sales, I shed a tear when I saw this thing. I was like, where have you been all my life? And one of the beautiful things about it is it's not just underwriting, and that would do it injustice just to call it that. It has almost everything that you're going to need, from online services to how and where to process a broker of record, and how long it's going to take, and who to contact, and how carriers cover diabetic supplies, because that's becoming a larger and larger issue for us. Whether they cover it under durable medical equipment or under the prescription drug coverage. All of these things are housed in our health plan reference guide. If you don't have it yet, download it. It is a PDF document, but I assure you it's very easy. Control F will allow you to find anything within that document. And in fact, when I was in sales, I kept this document up on a screen, and I looked like a genius, because people would call me, and I'd Control F, and I would find whatever they were talking about, and I would give them the answer. That's how I made my name, and that's how I got where I am. Don't tell the guys. Lots of underwriting quick reference guides. So carriers change their underwriting guidelines like the wind. And the beautiful thing about it is we have people at our office who are monitoring all of those changes. They publish these quick reference guides, which put the carriers side by side. If you haven't seen them, they're on our website under the resources section. They're really phenomenal. Anything that you're facing today, we have a side-by-side comparison for it. On-demand and training. So we perform all kinds of webinars. In fact, we had one of our most successful webinars, had close to 700 brokers attend one of our webinars this year. It's becoming the technology platform of the future for us to be able to train a very large audience, especially on the topics of the day. Expect for us to use that quite a bit more. We've expanded into podcasting. For those of you who aren't aware, podcasts are where you can actually download a little few-minute chunk of data. It's verbal, so you can listen to it. If you're anything like me and you listen to TED lectures on the way to work or something like that, this is an alternative for you that's insurance-based. We cover very critical topics of the day. We reviewed all 6056 reporting topics with one of the foremost, I believe, one of the foremost experts in ACA compliance, Barbara Lumen, who works out of our office. And of course, we offer all of the standard technology platforms that you're going to need, whether it's quoting, founded on our 31-year history. By the way, no one's been able to replicate that. I actually had someone come to me and go, hey, how did you build that quote engine? And what did you do for this? And how did you build your zip tables? There is no way for me to be able to just hand this over to somebody else and say, here, this is how you replicate it. 31 years is built into this platform, which is, again, one of the reasons why you can get a guarantee through us and not through anyone else. eCentral, obviously I'll let David's presentation stand, a really excellent presentation about what eCentral is and what it does for you. Of course, one of the advantages to working with a GA is that we are in the trenches with you, we are operating the eCentral platform with you, we are operating quoting with you, we are presenting with you out in the field, which means that the onus is on us to make sure that everything is accurate and right and set up correctly. If you operate these things on your own, you're on your own. Value-added services, we provide all kinds of value-added services, one of which I'll go through, which I think is really a phenomenal tool, which I think is underused in the marketplace, and I'll give you a good opportunity for you to service both your Word and Brown clients and your non-Word and Brown clients, which is not something you've heard up here today. We have a very powerful online quoting platform. For those of you who may have remembered when I took over back in 2008, our online quoting platform, well, it needed help, right? It was developed by our technology department, our IT department, and quite frankly, you have to have a marriage of benefit insurance knowledge and IT technology. You've heard a lot of people up here spew out all kinds of really fancy buzzwords, tech buzzwords. But the truth is that you have to have that liaison between what it is to sell insurance out in the field day to day and face clients with every kind of issue that you can possibly face, and always face the owner and their spouse when you come up for a new policy sale and they're dealing with prescription issues or an emergency room claim or something along those lines. So you have to have somebody who has that experience and couple that with the technology, and that's one of the things that we've done inside of our quote engine. So we quote medical, dental, vision, and life now. The newest engine is in its 4th generation, and we're on about our 37th release. So we've gone through quite a few iterative development releases in order to really make it shine. It's one of the only places where you're going to get things like a highlighted benefit comparison that actually highlights the benefit differences between a renewal, and any other policy that you want to place on that comparison, so that you don't have to spend the time doing that. And then you can hand that to your clients. Thank you. And then you can hand that to your clients, and then the onus is on them to take a look at what's changed policy plan to plan year, and figure out what's going to affect them so that they can make a plan change that's educated based on whatever their needs are. And that makes you not responsible for figuring out what their needs are, all of their needs, or what their needs may be. eCentral has been a great platform for us. It's really allowed us to get into that online spirit of enrollment. We've helped a number of groups actually process those online enrollments. We do all the implementation for you. It's completely free for us. It's 125 employees you get for free on the eCentral application. But, and actually I think we've seen this today in some of the response, only 1% of our business has gone through online enrollment. So we're still seeing a very heavy paper-based, which of course you've heard that I mentioned a couple of times. We will have the very first API integration with Anthem going live here in September and then in October, and we're going to be making very big use of those things. Other API integrations that are forthcoming, we have one that's going to go into the CalChoice online enrollment. Rebecca gave a great presentation about the CalChoice solution. You'll be able to push data from our quote engine, from the dashboard of Quotomatic into the online enrollment platform, and also into eCentral. So if you have your own retail account on eCentral, you'll be able to quote with us and push your data, and it speeds up the setup process. HR Wow. HR Wow is a service that's available for anybody in the state, and actually anybody out of the state. So if you have a client anywhere, anytime, and they don't have an employee handbook, you have absolutely no excuse. You can download an employee handbook template, and there's live assistance on this service, so they will sit on the phone with you and they will talk you through the setup. Lastly, I have an October surprise coming. I can't share with you what it is. However, we looked at the 2015 Q4 stats, and we found the most significant issue as far as the timeline for sales is concerned, and we've shortened it to nothing. So watch for us in October, because we're going to innovate again, and we're going to take this marketplace by storm. If you remember nothing else...